my previous videos that people are asking to make a video around managed file transfer or MFT. Like, what is managed file transfer? Why did it come into an existence, right? What are some of the best practices? So what I am planning to do is I am gonna make couple of videos. One on talking about why money managed file transfer, right? And in the next video, I'm planning to talk about some of the best practices in respect to managed file transfer. So with that, let's get started. Now, from an agenda standpoint, what I'm going to cover is before even talking about managed file transfer, um, let's talk about in general a brief overview of a file transfer, right? How was it, or how companies or people used to transfer files between each other? And then when after going through the past of file transfer, I'm going to introduce you to the managed file transfer and how it is actually helping address most of the challenges in respect to the standard file transfer that we had earlier. And then I'm going to cover the predominant file transfer patterns within that. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about the best practices and how you should approach when you are building solutions or creating configurations or building MFT stuffs, right? So with that, let's move on. So a brief history of file transfer. Why? What's the past, right, of this file transfer? So we all know that we live right now in a data driven world, right? Everywhere you will see so many types of data, like it can be structured, it can be unstructured, it can be semi structured, right? Now the volume and the size, the type, and the frequency of this data are changing every moment, and it is very unpredictable. So if you see over here in this presentation, you have this chart over here where on the y-axis it's mentioned the the confidentiality or criticality of this data, and on the x-axis I have plotted the file size. So there are n types of, like, there are different types of file like that's are out there in respect to different industry. And then what are the file sizes? If you see, like, there are various, like starting from 0 MB up to like even 100+ GB, there are various types of files in respect to the size and also their confidentiality or criticality, right? And then if you see this note, over 80% of all business and organizational information is exchanged via files as of today till date, right? And on the right hand bottom, if you see over here, there are different types of like data. Like, it can be in the structured area, it can be unstructured, it can be semi-structured, and the systems or the entities that are actually transferring data, it can be system to system, it can be business to business, it can be person to person, right? And I will cover more about those, right, in our future slides. So let's move on now. In here, if you see, files are being transferred everywhere. As I mentioned, as of today, more than 80% of uh, transactions are happening through file transfer between different businesses or person, right? Now in here, if you see, there is this different type of applications, right, that are hosting different types of protocols. There can be internal users, there are external partner systems. So there are like application to application, A to A, there are business to business, B2B, there is business to consumer, B2C, right? There can be application to consumer, A to C, right? So there are different types of file transfers and integrations happening across the channel. Okay. Now moving on, earlier, like when the file transfer protocol started, it was mostly around FTP. That was the de facto standard, like file transfer protocol, which right now, as we see in most of our modern B2B platforms, we typically discourage to use FTP as a protocol because FTP has like a control channel and a data channel, and both are actually transferring like data as well as the credentials in clear text, so it is not at all secure. Anyone can spoof that connection and can get the credentials, hack the credentials, and do bad stuffs to us. So definitely that is the reason, though the initial like de facto standard was FTP, and still as of today, like I've seen customers like using FTP. Mostly I have seen right now, like as they are getting more and more security conscious, they are using FTP because it's very easy to implement for mostly internal users where the traffic is not leaving your uh, intranet, right, and going to the public internet. They're still using, but I would like I think more and more we are kind of discouraging using FTP from any kind of like file transfers, be it internal or be it external. So and now we talk about protocols like SFTP, FTPS, AS2s, AS3s, AS4s, those kind of stuffs, right? And API based integrations as well, right? So I just listed over here like the um, problems that FTP has, right? There's no encryption. As I mentioned, user and passwords are sent in clear. There's no integrity checking, like whether the message has been transferred in its entirety on the other side of it, right? There's no way of tracking it. There's no management, right? And there's no way of restarting. So let's say if you are transferring a very big file, maybe a terabyte of file, and somewhere in the middle, like maybe after transferring 500 gigabyte, which use so much of network bandwidth, for small network flicker, if the transfer got interrupted, there is no way you can restart from that 500 gig, and then you have to start from beginning. So it's a huge uh, uh, loss in respect to your overall cost that you have incurred in using the network bandwidth, right, for transferring that file. Now, a quick overview of managed file transfer. So, according to Gartner, right, the managed file transfer, what is this managed file transfer gives us, right, in respect to all the challenges that you have spoken? What is it trying to address? All right. Now, if you see over here, it gives certain functionality within its shoot. Okay, that helps us address most of the challenges. One is secure communication. So it and has a collection of different commonly used protocols, as I mentioned, and technologies that is used for transporting and ensuring data security, authentication, privacy, non-repudiation, right, authorization of data, right, between two different entities. All right. The second important feature of managed file transfer and is management, where you have the ability to monitor and also control the data regardless of its size throughout the file transfer end to end. Where, if you remember in the previous slide, I was talking about FTP, there is no way you can control or monitor, or there's no management, right, within that protocol. Now, from an integration standpoint, it gives you different kind of adapters, or which like in Sterling, for example, your service and adapter. So if you have a third party application, you can use an adapter. If you are like trying to put it through, like trying to do some internal application transfers, you can use services, things like that, right? So you get those kind of functionalities from an integration standpoint. And the other important thing that MFT suits provide is it gives you the capability to overcome the physical hardware, right, limitations and operating environment limitations, because it actually is built on a very robust infrastructure, and it removes some of the challenges, right, in respect to the physical hardware in itself. And then there are some checkpoint or restart capabilities. That means that if there is some interruption in between the file transfer, you have an option, or you get an option of like restarting or resuming from the last point, okay, where it got disconnected, rather than doing it from the very beginning, right? And there was a survey which I wanted to show some of the statistics around MFT, where people mentioned that like there's like huge number of concerns, like almost 88%, okay, are concerned about violation of security mandates and preventing data loss via human-driven data exchange. There's like 83% mentioned they still use FTP, right, for external data exchange, not only internal but external. 78% are concerned about internal and external visibility and monitoring of data. This is very important. Like in MFT tool, a good MFT tool should give you that end-to-end visibility in respect to file transfer. You should be able to see in each and every step what has happened until the file has been delivered, right? So that's something that is missing, right, or that he was missing earlier before MFT came into picture. And then 44%, if you see, currently use unmanaged methods for sending files too big for corporate email exchanges. So they don't, they're just like a fire and forget. Like there's no way of controlling, like making sure the file has been delivered, right? So that's another concern. Now, I wanted to also highlight some of the file transfer patterns that are out there. So one is application integration pattern, where it's basically two applications talking to each other. So if you have like one application talking to different applications, you need to have like a point-to-point connection between those applications, and this is more of like automated, and there are like it's process driven. There's a centralized governance as well. So this is one method, or one like style of doing integration between two different applications, right? And then definitely, as I mentioned in the footnote, is like make sure, like even if they are internal applications or external, there's no FTP that is used, right, from a communication standpoint. Definitely the de facto should be now SFTP at bare minimum. We have another pattern which is called B2B pattern. B2B pattern means there's two different business entity or companies that are transacting files between themselves. Like it can be two different banks, it can be an insurance provider with a bank, right? So there can be various options out there, but there's like this pattern which is called B2B, or business to business, right? The next one is multi-site integration pattern, whereas like you have one site, like for example a central hub, like let's say a federal bank, right, and they are connected to different other banks, right, and all the banks are mandated to transact or send files at a particular schedule to the federal bank, who is managing or overseeing all of those banks. It can be one uh, headquarters for a company, and then there are multiple like manufacturing sites. They have the corporate centers and all that, and there everyone is connected to that central headquarters, right? So those kind of pattern also we see out there. There's one more pattern which is portal file services pattern, which is like connecting the human experience and MFT. Like it can be, for example, someone is using their mobile phone, right? And then so it is acting as like maybe an Android phone. It is acting as a portal, right, for maybe downloading or uploading any files to a particular website or things like that. So that's one a recent pattern that I see. There's an ad hoc file transfer pattern, whereas it can be like between humans to humans, which is completely unplanned, right? And it's basically ad hoc in nature. Maybe an email, right, might be a good example of ad hoc file transfer, right? Or maybe a text, right? Those kind of stuffs. Uh, so I just listed over here, like if you see on the left hand side, like interactive and automated. So which patterns falls under automated? Like you need to make sure they are automated. Like those are like application integration, multi-site integration, B2Bs. Interactive is more of like portal file transfers or ad hoc, right? Which humans are doing on it. And then across all these different kind of patterns, you definitely need to have security. You need to have visibility over the overall file transfers. You need to have governance, right, and all that. So that's kind of what, like, I wanted to, like, talk about the past, and then how we have evolved, and how we have, like, what is the requirement of having an MFT or managed file transfer, and some of the offerings that we have in managed file transfers, like for example, Connect Direct is one of the managed file transfer offerings. Sterling File Gateway is one of the managed file transfer offering, and there are more out there, but I'm just talking about a few of them. So with that, I'm gonna conclude today's video. But in next video, I'm gonna talk about some of the best practices that are managed file transfer. So I'll see you in next video. With that, thank you for listening in this video. To those who are new to my channel, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for getting notified of more such videos. And talk to you next week.